Hi, I've been doing some thinking specifically about why school buses look the way that they do. No, I'm not talking about why they're yellow. That should be fairly obvious to most people, I would hope. I'm actually talking about why the school bus has their rear wheels in the middle of the bus instead of the back. If you examine this drawing here, we can clearly see that the bus has a large overhang on the back compared to the smaller overhang on the front. The reason for this is that the engine of the bus is basically a lot heavier than the back, therefore more support is needed at the front, or at least that's what I initially thought. But then I thought about city buses that we might see all the time. After using Google for less than 2 minutes, I realized that regular city buses have a variety of engine locations, but pretty much all of them still have the same wheel layout, where the rear wheel is not so far in the middle of the bus. I thought that maybe the wheels of a bus needed to be where they are because of the fueling process. Maybe because of all the starting and stopping, the fuel tank would have something to do with it. Perhaps it needed more fuel or less fuel than a city bus, and therefore the wheel location on the bus would help with fuel efficiency. After some more research, I determined that nobody has even asked this question before. Since I'm not an expert, I figured I'd just conclude that fuel is likely not the reason for the wheel position. I had assumed that the wheels being in the middle of the school bus helped to ensure that it could take sharper turns. And again, after having less than 2 minutes on Google, I learned that yes, this is actually the case. Your school buses have wheels closer together to ensure that the turning radius is smaller. However, I wondered just what kinds of turns it would have to do. School buses need to go on all kinds of terrain, and just like with the frame of the bus being raised off the ground, its tires being closer together allow it to gain traction easier. Because of the overhang section of the bus, the overhang section is being pulled rather than being pushed, which means it's less strain on the rear wheels. It's like when you see a pickup truck which has an overstuffed trunk and some of it hangs off the back. Personally, I'm not a big fan of seeing this when I'm driving behind it, but anyway, rather than people making the truck bigger to fit the items, they just have the items hang out because it's less strain on the truck, because it's just easier. You know, it's like carrying for the bus. If you look at the frame of the whole bus, it's like it's not carrying as much as it would normally need to. As mentioned earlier, the bus does constant starts and stops. Having rear wheels in the middle allows it to stop in locations which might not be possible with a normal city bus design. It also means that with a smaller grouping of wheels, it can make sharper turns than a normal city bus. But then I got to thinking about city buses, because how could I not? They are what a majority of people use to get around when looking at public transit, especially in large cities where driving isn't feasible. If school buses are meant to be so efficient at starting and stopping, why wouldn't city buses also have the same wheel design? Well, there are a few reasons, I think, that explain this. First off, they don't turn as often, and when they do so very slowly. A bus is meant to be a city bus anyway, is meant to be larger in not only height but also weight. They are, of course, transporting adults primarily rather than children, which, let's be honest, children are much lighter. So it means that the starting and stopping of a bus for the city can be a bit more difficult. This is why often buses try to make as little turns as possible. You don't often see big city buses leaving main roads and twisting through neighborhoods. Just look at the steering wheel. Seriously, just look at it for a moment. It's much larger than a normal one you're used to seeing in your car. The bus is bigger, as we already know, and the larger wheel is needed to adapt to the larger wheels of the bus rather than what you would have on your car. Whether in a city or it just being a normal school bus, the turning radius is still wider than your local automobile. So, a school bus having wheels that are closer together makes sense, as they are the kinds of buses which need to be turning and sometimes stopping at awkward angles. Almost all city buses get to make their pickups on straight curbs rather than in the middle of a roundabout like some school buses. Okay, look, I'm no professional, and I only Googled for like 20 minutes before making this video. I did read some answers from actual bus drivers, and they pretty much say what I said here. However, I'm not a bus pro, so I'd recommend taking whatever classes they teach when you want to become a bus driver, because I bet they talk about the design of the bus a lot. I have lots of questions about the world that I want to half answer with a fun PowerPoint slideshow. I think I might do my next one about food. Would that be good, or nah? Oh well, I'm sure everything will be just fine. Thank you all so much for watching. I honestly am incredibly happy to be able to spend time working on making different kinds of videos. Subscribe to the channel to help support me in my goals. Liking the video also helps because it means more people will get to see it. Also, be sure to leave a comment if you know anything about the subject we just talked about, because as we all know, I'm certainly no expert. Thank you all so much for watching. As always, guys, I'm Elwirfy, and I'll definitely be seeing you guys next time.